All right, good morning, YouTube. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's ready for a weekend to enjoy whatever it is that you want to enjoy, unless it looks like if you're anywhere in the Rocky Mountain states, you're going to be wet. Maybe it's just the early morning thunderstorms and stuff. It doesn't look like it, though. It's like it's spreading across the plain states there up north. That area, Arizona, New Mexico, where they needed some water, looks like they're going to get it with the monsoon season kicking in early. I think it started technically Thursday, and it's like getting to them already. So, but that's good. They were talking about the drought areas. Hopefully that helps some of them out. But how you doing? Everybody else should be able to go out and mow the lawn at least. Maybe not mow the lawn. Maybe we'll do something a little more fun than that. But yeah, it looks kind of unsettled for a pretty good portion of people, and who knows what afternoon thunderstorms might kick in here, as they usually do in the south and stuff. So you got that to look forward to. We were talking water catchment and water collection the other morning. I guess it was yesterday morning. Some places, the places where you can't do it, and I think Barry said they could catch 5,000 gallons. His town actually encouraged it, something like that. They can probably knock that out fairly quickly. So look at some stuff up here. You remember you've already got some links in the description box below. If you want to look anything up, what we're pulling up here. Trying to go into a couple other things too before we really get started here. Let's check in, see who we got with us. Wendy O, good morning. Thanks for joining us. How you doing? Caregiver 7751. Good morning, Caregiver. How's it going? Looks like you guys will be doing pretty good this weekend. Got to get some work lined up on this end. You know how that goes. Fellow Americans, how long do you think you can still say that, Caregiver? All right. So there's your weather snapshot. When people join us later, we'll have to tell them to rewind to the beginning because I'm not going to talk about the weather anymore. But yeah, if you're in the Rocky States, from the south to the north, you're getting what looks to be, you should know you're getting quite a bit of rain right now. All the way across into Minnesota too, though. Tornado might be sprouting up with all this dark red and whatnot, fixing in there. But we will go start off with some of the trade war stuff going on. Trump announced tariffs of $50 billion the other day. China has announced retaliatory tariffs. We briefly talked about this yesterday. But we want to see if they had any additional follow-up on some more details on what exactly was being instituted for tariffs. The talks about here, there's 818 Chinese imports. They'll have the 25% tariff on them, but they never break down into categories or anything like what it could be. Now, the Chinese tariffs, we know. The Chinese are imposing tariffs here, it looks like, of 25% effective July 6th on agricultural products, automobiles, and aquatic products. I'm not sure what aquatic products means. Like aquariums or swimming goggles. Like aquatic products can cover a wide variety of stuff. So here's some more of the Chinese tariffed items. List include soybeans, electric vehicles, a range of hybrid electric vehicles, a variety of seafood and pork, which why would you want to eat any of that coming from China? It's a shame that we're importing stuff like that, seafood and pork of all things. Like there's not enough people in the Gulf states that need a job, or North Carolina, Virginia that need to make some pork. Can you guys see my screen all good? Give me a thumbs up in the side chat as long as you can see everything. I've got conflicting information. I'll ramble on here a little bit while I look for a thumbs up or a you're good or something. Can you see? Everybody scrambles to look at their phone as they're driving on the road. Probably don't do that. So that's the list of stuff coming out of China. That's but we're still just throwing out dollar figures. I still haven't seen a list of what the U.S. we're putting tariffs on Chinese stuff. Wait, yeah, I misstated this. See, it's too early in the morning. I'm not even halfway down my cup of coffee. The Chinese are tariffing things that they're importing to them. So that soybeans, electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, seafood, and pork, that's all being imported into China. Not us. The Chinese aren't tariffing the stuff they're sending to us. I'm losing my mind. Oh, man. Yeah, the stuff that we're sending to China, that's the stuff that's getting tariffed on their end. So that's bad for farmers and Gulf Coast fishermen, stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to get on track here in a second. Y'all got to put me in check when I say something off the wall like that. Okay, you guys can see. Good. All right. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. We'll roll with it. China's proposal covers 659 U.S. goods worth about $50 billion. Other goods that are going to be tariffed at a later date include crude oil, diesel, magnetic resonance imaging kits. So MRIs, like for health sides, or they use certain things for surveying and construction and mining and things like that as well. I think to be able to see under the earth. So that's the trade war situation with China. So still don't have a good handle on what we're going to pay more for. Is it just going to be Walmart stuff, or is it going to be a little more broad than that? We already know there's limits that were imposed a while back that hasn't necessarily trickled way down into the purchase of raw materials, I think. But really the effect of these things, be interesting to see how they show up in the economy. Chumming along so swimmingly. And the Canadians are looking at boycotting products and canceling vacations. And I was wondering if Stan would get in here, our resident Canadian, and tell us what they're seeing on their end. as far as boycotts and trade war going on between Canada and the U.S. now. Great. I don't know if Trudeau could lead a boycott like that. People don't seem to have much respect for him. But it says here, Canadians have taken to practicing pocketbook diplomacy in defense of Prime Minister Trudeau, who is caught in a trade war of words with President Trump. Again, I don't know many Canadians that really like Trudeau that I've seen. They seem to think he's a little bit of a Fruit Loop, but maybe the ones with all the him, because he's going to protect Stash, keep him in the elite status. That's the situation. Says here, in Kentucky bourbon, California wine, Florida oranges, and avoiding American companies like Starbucks, Walmart, McDonald's. Canadian Oh, sorry about that. Quick, short delay. So yeah, Canadians are supposedly defending their ministry. I haven't heard of that before. Vacationers aren't coming to the U.S., they say. So there's a buy Canadian push, people vacationing internally to Canada instead of coming to the United States, they're saying, over this battle of words between Trump and Trudeau. So that's going on. Somebody give me any input. Anybody up there in the border areas has heard any Canadians speaking ill-willed, not buying American, not visiting, I guess, anymore? Thought that was interesting when you see all the Trudeau bashing is almost as popular as Trump bashing, but yet people revert to nationalism at some point, I guess, in some circles. So we'll see if that turns out anything more significant as we get more and more trade wars going on, I guess. It's getting kind of ridiculous. Free trade just isn't popular, I guess. You can do it. How's it going? Thanks for joining us. You're going to spend the morning pulling weeds? Doesn't sound like fun. I think, yeah, we all got a little bit of that. I've already watered some this morning, so got a little bit out of the way. But yep, got to get some more of that garden later in the day as well. So moving away from no trade, tariffs, etc. Move over to gun control issue. If you haven't seen a gun confiscation bill that we talked about a couple months ago, great town of Deerfield, Illinois, their state court blocked that from occurring this past week. It was blocked by a state court. It was the Lake County Circuit Court held that the ordinance violates a state preemption statute, which is true. We've talked about this as we were reviewing that law, that state law preempted local laws on certain things, but they just disregarded it anyway. Its effective date would have been June 13th, which was the day this article was written. 2 lawsuits challenged that ordinance. The plaintiffs were Guns Save Life, a 20-year-old Illinois advocacy organization. Didn't know that existed. He was in the advocacy. It's headed up by John Wambacher, a Deerfield resident. That's who was involved in the case. A parallel case was brought about by the Second Amendment Foundation, the Illinois State Rifle Association, and Deerfield resident Daniel Easterday. Both cases raised the preemption issue, and the court agreed with the plaintiffs. The NRA case, which was the Guns Save Life organization, also raised some other issues discussed, which the court was not persuaded. So the court agreed based on the preemption issue, but not the other issues raised by the NRA's portion of the case. Let's give a little background in here about the statute. Magazine ban. Under the magazine ban, the court found that the ordinance does not, in fact, ban magazines. The ordinance has no text that specifically prohibits possessing or owning a large capacity magazine. Instead, the ordinance simply makes a large capacity magazine one element in the definition of an assault weapon. At best, Deerfield only prohibited large capacity magazines to the extent that the magazine is a component of an assault weapon, end quote. If the ordinance had prohibited magazines, then the prohibition would be preempted and void. So that's one of the areas where they didn't find it sufficient to rule on. Preemption, they go into this is all extracting from the court order, from the court say. Preemption, the legislative intent was undeniable, says the court, and used them for the had used the magic words that established exclusive power of state and a denial and limitation of home rule power functions of the Illinois Constitution. So Deerfield's best argument, 2018 ordinance was permissible amendment of the 2013 ordinance, because they had previously done a similar debacle and just they toughened it up, I guess you'd say, presumably under this new one. But the court ruled that the Deerfield substantially changed its 2013 ordinance. The new law changed the definition of assault weapon and prohibited possession, transportation, bearing, and sale. The old ordinance regulated storage and transportation. So it's substantially different, the court found. That it wasn't an amendment, it was a. So that was what they ruled on that. So it wasn't necessarily they didn't find it on gun rights reasons or individual liberties. They found it on technicalities, essentially, of legislative power. The court's analysis found that, in fact, there is a clear conflict between the two ordinances, where both cannot be carried out under the 2013 ordinance. Deerfield residents were supposed to store and transport in certain ways, and in 2018, obviously, they can't do anything they can't possess, period. There was a hunting law preemption complaint by the NRA, who argued it's preempted by the state wildlife code. Illinois allows certain types of firearms for certain types and prohibits hunting with them under various conditions. Yeah, example, use what, where. Because guns banned by Deerfield may lawfully be used for hunting in Illinois, the plaintiffs argued that the village's gun ban was preempted by the wildlife code. The court disagreed. So just stating that it's okay. Eminent domain was another argument made, which the court did not find. The NRA case said that the confiscation ordinance is the taking of private property. The just compensation was required in the Illinois Constitution. The Illinois court decided the question by citing an 1887 Supreme Court case holding an alcohol confiscation enacted in Kansas. Well, they went way back. So they went back to this Mugler versus Kansas to fight back on the eminent domain portion, saying using this Supreme Court statement, a prohibition simply upon the use of property for purposes that are declared by valid legislation to be injurious to the health, morals, or safety of the community cannot in any just sense be deemed a taking or an appropriation of property. Wow, that's a dangerous statement there to let people throw around in court, because pretty much that's half our problem with half our laws, is they deem them to be injurious to the health, morals, and safety of the community. How hard would it be for law writers to write that into some mess that we have? Yeah, goes on to say, gun owners are often astonished to find that their property can be confiscated by the government without compensation. Yet, as the Mugler case illustrates, the alcohol prohibition era has furnished supportive precedent. Not all the alcohol prohibition cases came out this way, but many did. The Mugler case is one of many counterexamples to the widespread but false assertion that the Supreme Court in the late 19th century was absolutist in protecting property rights. Yeah, the federal government never has sat with the people in a long time. Taking guns was one of the final arguments by the NRA side of the case. A common claim by some anti-gun activists is that nobody wants to take your guns. So this is the final paragraph, the way they wrap this up. The Brady Center joined the Village of Deerfield's legal team and helped write the Deerfield Brief. This is consistent with decades of statements from gun control organizations, politicians, and others expressing their objective take some or all firearms. Today, there are many people who advocate Australia as a gun control model that the U.S. should follow, the Australia model. So this is the words of the author here as he detailed in Chronicles magazine. This is forcible confiscation with some compensation for the guns and no compensation for now worthless accessories. But he finishes off, at least for the time being, gun confiscation will not be implemented in Illinois. Yeah, we're on a lot thinner ice than I think most people realize in a lot of these cases in this respect to any gun confiscation ordinances. When you can throw out that Kansas case and that the prohibition simply upon the use of property for purposes that are declared by valid legislation to be injurious to the health, morals, or safety of the community cannot in any just sense be deemed a taking of or an appropriation of property. So basically saying they're using that Supreme Court statement from 1887 is how they're going to justify writing legislation that is legal in the court's eyes, at least, to confiscate whatever they want. It's just like just like the Supreme Court case way back when the farmer sued because the government said he couldn't grow certain crops, and that's how we got incursions on what was the name of that case? Walker v. Filburn. So these are very old cases that are still being used against us because the federal government was found in those cases that they can do no wrong. The people that there are no individual rights, there are just powers of government that the courts validated. Just a quick side note here. So the Mugler versus Kansas was not binding precedent Constitution, not the Illinois Constitution. Very slippery slope. So that to look into that. A couple other stories out of Illinois. Clark County, this was from yesterday. Clark County, Illinois, first I had to double take it, make sure it wasn't talking about Nevada. It says approves a gun rights resolution. There's been a lot of pushback from a lot of the rural counties in Illinois over this whole gun confiscation thing, with basically calling themselves sanctuary counties. Oh goodness, whatever. Okay. So on Friday, this Clark County Board approved a resolution in support of the Second Amendment and in opposition to any state plan to limit gun rights. So the question is, what does the state constitution say about gun rights? Would be the real sticking point if you're in Illinois. Other Illinois counties, including Christian, Effingham, Shelby, and Shelby County, have adopted gun sanctuary resolutions, a term that comes from so-called sanctuary cities, yeah, obviously. The Clark County vote resulted from a gentleman, Warren LaFever from Marshall, presenting a gun sanctuary resolution on May 18th. State's Attorney Kyle Hudson reviewed the proposal at the board's request. Hudson's revised resolution then dropped the sanctuary wording while retaining its message of Second Amendment support. So after the meeting, Lefevre, who had recommended the resolution, said eliminating the gun sanctuary wording will reduce the effectiveness of the resolution's message. However, he said the message sent by the Clark County Board will still join with grassroots movement of many other county boards that are adopting resolutions in support of the Second Amendment. Mr. Lefevre stated it was a win because the Clark County Board spoke in a unanimous voice to the state legislature. We do not like what you are doing. I'm not sure that they care, but yeah, you can tell them that. Christian County adopted one last month that demanded the Illinois General Assembly cease further actions regarding the restrictions of rights of people to keep and bear arms. The Christian County resolution went a little bit further here and said, in part, quote, if the governor of Illinois shall infringe upon the inalienable rights granted by the Second Amendment, Christian County shall become a sanctuary county for all firearms unconstitutionally prohibited by the government of Illinois. That's a bold statement. That's a good one. I wonder if Mule Team or El Tenda has seen that, or if they're close to those areas. It would be interesting to hear their take on those if I ever get a hold of them at some point. Hey, good morning, Castaway. How you doing? Yeah, the Port Arthur shooting. Yeah, that's what, 20 years ago now, since Australia implemented that gun confiscation. Leveraging it as an excuse. Hopefully people in America are fighting back, at least in some respects. So with these stories getting out, there's some counter propaganda being put out by the almighty Chicago Tribune, where they're asking the question here, and this is today's paper in Chicago. Almost nothing is known about dozens of concealed carry shootings in Illinois, and they ask the question, why? So there's dozens upon dozens of shootings in Chicago every weekend that nobody knows about, and they're digging down into these concealed shootings in Illinois. Let's see what they're really looking at here. So they start off, it took days to figure out where all the bullets flew when a man licensed to carry a gun exchanged shots with a masked 16-year-old boy and killed him on a busy street in Oak Park last year. Investigators counted about a dozen shell casings outside a bank on Madison Street. According to police reports, they dug bullets from the man's Buick Regal. Okay, are they really going after police work on this? Like their inability to investigate? The teen was the only person hit as bystanders scattered inside cars and crouched behind a telephone pole. One of the bullets traveled across the street into an office building. Really, they're going after people's self-defense rights, it looks like here. They're really concerned about all these bullets that people are shooting to defend themselves. One of the bullets traveled across the street into an office building. It apparently came from one of the shots the man fired over his shoulder as he ran away. Not the best self-defense technique. Granted, the guy didn't use good shooting techniques if he did that. The man who worked for the Chicago Park District, so he's a government employee, was released within hours after a prosecutor determined over the phone he had fired in self-defense. Nothing was said about him randomly shooting behind him, even though an investigator later questioned the action. Yes, he used poor judgment, but it's not illegal, I don't think, when he's trying to flee for his life. Nothing was reported to the Illinois State Police because it's well, I don't know how Illinois works, but it shouldn't be their jurisdiction. But anyway, even though they do oversee the training and licensing of concealed carry holders. But he didn't break the law. That's what gets reported to them on those cases. They're really going on a witch hunt here. All these issues in Chicago and stuff, and they're digging down into this. Let's see how many other cases they bring up like this. The state police know nothing about the nearly 40 shootings by people with concealed carry licenses since Illinois became the last state to allow them 4 years ago. So here's what the Chicago Tribune is really concerned about. They're concerned about 40 shootings by people with concealed carry licenses since Illinois started this 4 years ago. 4 years, 40 shootings. There's that many in a weekend in Chicago. And it's probably not so much that, and they are really finding a black way to go at this. Talk about digging for something that's not there. The Tribune review found that most of the shootings have been in public places. Well, you think? Because if you're at home, you're not concealed carrying at home. Half the cases have involved concealed carry holders firing to defend themselves or someone else. At least 11 people have been killed, including a man with a license who tried to fend off carjackers on the west side. So 1 weekend in Chicago is what they're complaining about over a 4-year period. The state police have not collected any information that it might improve the training of license holders and possibly better protect them in the public. Well, that's a veiled statement there. That's really not what they don't care about that. The state, they're complaining here. The state police do not even keep a list of shootings by concealed carry holders. It says very clear up here in the paragraph above, the Firearms Services Bureau chief for the state police states that's not our role. We have to abide by the Concealed Carry Act. We issue cards, we revoke those cards from those who are prohibited from having them, and if they are not prohibited, there is no other action on our side. Basically, they want the police to have this overarching power to require training from people who they see as not using firearms properly, it looks like. The Tribune, through police files, court records, and news reports, compiled its own list. The analyst shows that. So this is the Tribune's analytical evaluation of this for the last 4 years. Most of those shot by CCL holders have been armed robbers. Others include carjackers, burglars with a crowbar, robbers with a gun, yada yada, neighbors, an ex-girlfriend, a father-in-law, an unarmed teen stealing a Jeep. You can't be stealing Jeeps. A passenger in a car during a road rage attack, and a naked man acting aggressively. So this is continuing the analysis. People were shot by homeowners, customers, security guards, store clerks, a Chicago police dispatcher, a Chicago fire lieutenant, Chicago Park district worker, a tow truck driver, and the owner of a West Side cell phone store. The shootings took place at Currency Exchange's phone. Really, they're just pulling up all the information they can from these. I don't know what their point is. A driveway between two homes, parking lots, a party, a loop, McDonald's, a West Side church, a block where children played, and a downstate gun range. But what do they know about shootings every weekend in Chicago? So a statement by the spokesman for the state police stated, he believes problems with concealed carry holders are few and there is no need for more oversight or transparency. So again, quoting the state police spokesman, you rarely hear of an instance where a CCL holder is using their firearms in an unlawful manner. They're generally law-abiding citizens, and they've gone to great lengths to get where they're at to have a CCL, and they've taken training to get there. Most of them, they understand what the requirements are for use of force to defend themselves. And the paper goes on to say, but the state police cannot support those conclusions because they do not have any data on whether CCL holders have been adequately trained for the situations they have met, which are all listed above in their analysis. This is a pretty long article. This might take up the rest of my time. Holy cow. Yeah, this is long. It's linked below. How to make shooting safer is one section. um, the worst of states, the best of states. How does Illinois compare to the other states? I guess. Yeah, this is a pretty long article. I don't think I'm going to go into the whole thing, but it is below. But it looks like this Tribune's just trying to angle to get more training, so fewer people will take it. Fewer people will get their CCL. It's just the first step. Here's a graph tallying up the incidents out of the 38 shootings and one threatening incident, a concealed carry license holder identified by the Tribune. So 11 people killed, 17 involved in armed assault, 8 where the CCL holder was charged. So there were actually 8 instances where people were charged for something during the incident. Hey, good morning, Barry. What's going on? You just like you're getting the rain passed over you, maybe? It looks like the upper Rockies there is getting doused with rain where you are, Barry. We saw earlier. So they're going into all kinds of things here. So they're questioning why things are starting to balloon up. Few shootings were reported in the first years after the state began issuing license in January 2014. 2 the first year, 3 the second, 6 in 2016. That's according to the Tribune's review. Seriously, they are really going, I mean, statistical anomalies, literally. And how many stories about Chicago weekend shootings does the Chicago Tribune write? It says here, last year the number ballooned to at least 19, most of them in Chicago. These are concealed license shootings, at least 19. In December, there were 4 shootings in the city in just 10 days, 2 in one day, according to police reports. So far this year, there have been at least 8 shootings involving CCL holders. 3 were reported in a single week in March. Oh my goodness, they're just escalating so out of control. So this paper goes on. It's not clear what's behind the increase, but it may be that people are becoming comfortable carrying and using guns in public. So they're rationalizing, or they're trying to hypothesize some scenario like what would cause this. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the rampant crime or anything, the boldness of criminals against law-abiding people. Here it states, it takes a while for people to start getting their licenses and having a critical mass of people carrying weapons. People feel more comfortable carrying their guns, and as time goes by, they've had more opportunity to use them. So the hypothesis is it's going to go up and up and up. So they're putting the fear in the public that this is only going to get worse. So they give a couple more examples of people shooting, concealed license holder shootings involvement over the last year. These are some of the people that were charged with, where the prosecution actually charged them with something. So this gentleman, 37, was arrested at his job at a downstate truck stop. He was accused of firing the gun months earlier at his wife and was charged with reckless discharge of a firearm. And his concealed carry license was seized. They're putting all kinds of anecdotal information in here like it matters. Like it starts off here on an 80-degree summer day, like irrelevant. The supposition is on hot summer days, people are more violent, I guess. So this lady, Kelly McGrath, Chicago police dispatcher, became embroiled in a road rage incident with another 18-year-old mother of 2. The teen threw soda on her. The 2 women pulled over in a parking lot. The teen grabbed McGrath by her hair and shoved her. McGrath pulled a 9mm from her holster and shot the teen in the chest. McGrath was charged with aggravated battery. It's funny all the little adjectives they put in here. Pulled the 9mm from her leather holster. Does it matter if it was a leather holster or not? These people need to get in creative. They're better off in creative writing class than they are writing articles for a newspaper. So they're bringing up some examples. People were actually charged with crimes for using their CCLs. And then here they go into the when legal is still dangerous. Yeah, so long article, folks. I would definitely recommend checking it out. If you know anybody in Illinois, forward it to them. They're coming after the concealed carry licenses. They're not going to let it stand. They want to make it harder to procure. They just want to start with the angle of you need more training, and they'll work their way down from there to get you to get this stuff. Hey, Slicer G, good morning. How's it going? The rain missed you, Barry, I'm assuming, because I didn't miss you because you're right here. But yeah, that's an interesting story. That is in your links below to go with that other Illinois information. So go check that out. It's interesting how there's dozens of shootings in Chicago every weekend, but yet they're digging down into literally like statistical anomalies over the last 4 years. All right, hold on a second. I'll be right back. All right, quick side note there. All right, so we're gonna finish up here. One other story I got here. Anybody wants to bring anything, pop it in there, pop it in the side chat. We'll check it out. Don't forget the links are below. So somebody infiltrated Bilderberg. This is a Daily Mail.com article. Interesting to see how they what their take on this is. There's been many different people who have got into Bilderberg over the years with different types of video and stuff. But this apparently is a reporter from the Daily Mail, which is kind of surprising. Infiltrates the shadowy Bilderberg summit. So their statement here is, for the first time in its 66-year history, a journalist penetrated security to go undercover at the hotel. I would disagree, because there's been several people. This goes back to the old days of InfoWars, but I think you'd have to consider it a journalist attempt to gather information on what they were doing. Daily Mail's just trying to take credit for it and being the first. Would disagree. There's been other freelance people that have gotten in there, but so here's a big bold statement. Conspiracy theories have surrounded Bilderberg for years, such as claims that it selects world leaders to impose a new world order, right? They got to debunk that. They don't want anybody to believe that. So that's probably what they're going after. So the journalist was on the job as a hotel waitress, it appears. So she's going through her first day on the job. So did she really penetrate Bilderberg or just get a job at the hotel? Although there have been stories of the staff having non-disclosure agreements and stuff when Bilderbergers do show up. Where was Bilderberg this year? Here's some pictures of the area around the hotel, it looks like. Don't know if these were the reporters' photos or just some other cameraman's photos because they look all from the outside. Some of these could be stock photos for that matter. It doesn't even look like it's necessarily involved with Bilderberg. Looks like it was Italian in Italy. So the freelance journalist who posted footage online of the empty garden marquee where the Bilderberg banquet was due to be held reported that Italian police stormed his hotel room at 4:30 a.m., breaking down his door and pointing a gun at him. They will find you. They are everywhere. So this is going back to the reporters going into the first day on the job. So she's told that she has to take a she has to go through this extensive route to get into work for the next 5 days as there's a top secret event taking place. The whole hotel is closed to the public. So very important. You remember you cannot go in. You cannot go in and out of the main entrance. You must use the secret one. Goes on into some of the people they expect from Britain to be there, the EU. So it goes on. So clandestine are the Bilderberg gatherings that no minutes are taken, no press conferences given, and Bilderberg was held on the exact same weekends as G7 and NATO defense meetings, allowing opportunities. That's what you need. Oh man, what's that act that prohibits people from secret meeting with officials? Something like that. You know, the other, so she doesn't. I'm pretty sure it's just a smoke and mirrors show to make people forget about it, to discount it. Some of the 2018 agenda and attendees. They're talking about one of the agenda items was populism in Europe, the Brexit issue, and things like that. She's going into the Britons that were there, former head of MI6, Barclays, former trustee. Some academics from Oxbridge, wherever that is. Heads of NATO, World Economic Forum, UNESCO, and a Vatican representative were present. Co-founder of LinkedIn, CEO of Vodafone, Google is well represented. A British artificial intelligence company called DeepMind apparently was represented. So she says here she was given a staff master key access to all 240 guest rooms on our first day. And if security was such a concern and she had nefarious intentions, she could have done something pretty terrible by now. Or they were just testing her to see if she was an infiltrator. She was going through rooms and providing services, supplying with water, etc., doing that type of daily routine room service. It's an interesting perspective, I guess. She was on the inside like that. Um, she provides room service to an Italian delegate. Some pictures of some evaluation forms. I have a hard time. They have evaluation forms at Bilderberg. That sounds laughable almost. Kissinger was there, of course. Oh, it's interesting stuff. Anyway, let's move on. So if you want to look into the duties of a service, a hotel service person during Bilderberg, I guess that's it. We'll go on. How's everybody's day going? The weekend's is here. Jay Thornton, what's up? Good morning, sir. How's it going? We're about ready to wrap this up, I think, unless somebody's got something they want to bring up. Whatever happened to nationwide carry? It's the Second Amendment's there. I don't know. Everything else is an infringement. So we have nationwide carry. We just have infringements upon it, my opinion. I don't know if there's a bill or not. I haven't heard of anything in particular. The gun owners of America haven't put anything out. So it's not anything they're tracking. If it's in the House, it's probably buried in a committee somewhere to forever lay dormant until Christmas break or something, and they'll bring it up as some sort of issue. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. We'll see if anything comes up current. So I guess there is a Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, which is not necessarily national concealed carry. It's just more so if you get in one state, it's applicable everywhere else, like your driver's license. Oh, this is a good hit piece, though. So I'll just pull this over. This is from June 8th. This is this is from the crimereport.org. It says New York City will pay the price of national concealed carry law, warns Vance, who is the district attorney in Manhattan. Is concerned that if this concealed carry reciprocity becomes law, violence in New York City will climb to levels not seen since the 1990s. Yes, because all those criminals are following, not, they're not carrying concealed because the law says so. Basically, they're going to try to justify stop and frisk again based upon this type of junk. CCRA, which forces states to honor the concealed carry permits are complete, lack permitting of any other state, has already passed the House of Representatives. So there's your status. You can do it. I didn't know this. It says it's already passed the House and it's in the Senate, awaiting a vote in the Senate. If it becomes federal law, Vance predicted it would induce tens of thousands of guns into New York each year, brought by up to 40 million annual domestic visitors. Yes, tens of thousands of guns with tens of thousands of guns of law-abiding good citizens who use them responsibly like they do everywhere else. Unless New York is a violent hotbed and all these visitors get attacked by violent New Yorkers, that might be the problem. Oh, Vance says it doesn't take much imagination to understand that's a dangerous thing. Oh, goodness. You just had to get me started on this, didn't you? You can do it. You just had to get me started. So Vance is the co-chair of Prosecutors Against Gun Violence, which what he really means is he's against prosecutors against victim defense. Um, he's saying it would strain the resources of police. They're the ones who will be on the front lines. They're not going to know who has a concealed carry permit, nor should they know who has a concealed permit. I have my concerns about national reciprocity because it's going to be a way for them to get more people in the system because more people are going to apply and register themselves with the government. So I have my concerns with it. But this guy's definitely a fear monger. um, Trying to say this is going to be a law enforcement nightmare. If just 10% of tourists bring their guns with them, we're going to have a big problem. Why? Do you think tourists just start committing crimes when they're on vacation? These people have lost their minds. They have no, well, they're just fear mongering people to induce fear in other people and to they have an agenda, obviously. Um, no rational person can make that statement and mean it. You're trying to angle people's emotions and manipulate people, obviously. It says here in the first panel on the national and local climate, panelists said much of the energy for comprehensive reform on gun legislation was coming from the states as federal laws such as stronger background checks and assault weapons ban remain stalled in Congress. Oh, goodness. Hey, 01 Crom, what's up? Oh, my chat just got way busy here. Hey, what's up, Irish? What's up, YouTube? They should start this is hey, Castaway, this is our Populous Bilderberg group. We'll just call it a weekly, weekly occurrence. How about that? Trump's more likely to sign a law to take your guns first, due process second, right? 01. Yeah, concern, right? Right, Barry. There's several states where you can carry without a permit. How's that going to apply to? Is your Arizona, Idaho state license? I think Missouri has constitutional carry now too. Are those, as long as you have your driver's license when you go to other states, you can just carry, which is fine by me. It's just it's going to cause problems. People are going to freak. Like this guy right here, this New York State General Attorney, police, and you can imagine LAPD, all these overbearing police departments that are just think they're protecting and serving you. They're serving you literally daily. They're going to take it to the extreme with some of this stuff. Yeah, you can do it. Hey, thanks for bringing it up. You can do it. I didn't know. That's good stuff. The laws don't mean nothing to criminals, right? You're done pulling weeds now. There's something to dig into. Right. Again, I got a copy of the link so everybody can get a. This is the article. So this is this article. Let me pull up another one, and let me put this in the description box below as well. We'll see. There's some other articles up to see how current they are. The best story of the day. You can do it. Good job. You win the teacher star of the day. Let's see what else. So yeah, this CORG is definitely what I would call a left-wing law enforcement organization. They believe in the power of the police state. So this is the brief history. That's probably the best article on it, though. They're gnashing their teeth over the potential that they could have reciprocity on the issue. Here's a Wall Street Journal article from back in May. That's a little old. This doesn't seem to be. So this is guns.com from this week. Yeah. So this is a guns.com article about anti-gun groups arguing about a Florida issue when it comes to dealing with the background checks and concealed carry. They failed to follow up on 365 flagged concealed carry permit applications. That led to the revocation of 291 permits over non-criminal records found in the NICS system. So the anti-gunners are using that as a bigger issue when it comes to recognizing carry permits across multiple jurisdictions. Well, when you say no state should be forced to accept another state's concealed carry standards, let alone honor the permits of a state, really no state should be forced to accept another state's driver's license standards either, because like California has no standards, for example. Yeah, it applies to all state licensing models, not just concealed carry. I mean, states aren't forced to respect other states' business licenses, are they? etc. So that's there's another article for you. Again, there shouldn't be I have my issues with national reciprocity because of the licensing component that registers everybody with the state. And you shouldn't need it. People aren't going to carry guns around in general unless they really need them or they really are confident in their ability to carry them, or both. Your average Joe's not just, if tomorrow all the carry requirements were out the window, average Joe's not going to go get a firearm and carry it around with them because the law is not there. They're only going to do it if they feel the need to do it because they feel threatened or they feel unsafe, and combine that with they have the confidence that they can carry it safely, because most people aren't going to put themselves in danger if they feel like, I mean, people have this supposition that they have a gun, they're in danger if they don't know how to handle it. Those people aren't going to be carrying firearms until they get some adequate training, etc. My thoughts on that. Like Irish said, all these are BS in the first place. They're just licensed structures to empower the government. Yeah, I'm glad you can do it. You're honored. I'm glad to hear that. We'll give you your star. Let me see if how I can dig this up. There's got to be a way, right? There we go. Oh, and here you can get one of these too. And let's see. Oh, wait, you got to get one of those. There we go. And here you go. You get medal, cookies, and stars. You're the winner for the day. Yeah, Irish, you missed our stories earlier. We were just talking about Illinois' gun confiscation issue and their sanctuary county issue. We were just going through that about the conflict in Chicago and the rest of Illinois previously in the chat. You'll have to rewind and check that out later. Yeah, you can do it. I get what you're saying. I still don't feel like I should have to have a license when I go to California to carry a firearm. Now, here's the interesting thing, though. When you travel somewhere like that, are you still going to have to abide by that state's capacity laws? Because as soon as I go into California, I'm a felon for carrying 11 rounds or 10 rounds. And I think that includes one in the chamber. I don't think they, even though your magazine can only hold 9, if you got 10 in the one in the chamber, I think they can't hold that against you. But that's why I have real issues, because I don't go to California. Fortunately, I don't have the need necessarily, but I hated being a potential felon for the many years that I lived there just because of their BS. Right, 0-1 Cron. That usually what happens. A large event distracts everybody from the issue, and everybody quiets down. They don't want to offend anybody. They don't want to offend anybody's sensibilities. Yeah, that's part of the problem. It happens regularly on the regular. It seems like as soon as any type of movement gets any hold, there's all of a sudden an incident that gets everything quietened back down on the push for any type of gun rights. The Hearing Protection Act has got buried 0-1. I think immediately after Parkland, because the Protection Act was like in the House. I remember that. That was like pretty far along in the process. As soon as Parkland went down, it like disappeared. Exactly. It's a licensing money racket, right? It's a collection. Well, it's also a registration scheme, Irish, if you ask me. It's not so much the money, it's the registration portion of it. Just like really the NICS is the ultimate in registration, because they say there's not a data warehouse, but obviously there is, because they're able to trace back all these prior, when people commit these crimes, they're able to say like, oh, well, he tried to get a weapon like last week or something, or because the data's out there, they're able to trace it. So it's a registry. We are way down the road of registration. I wouldn't visit Chicago just because of the Irish. You give me an MRAP and some crew serve weapons, I might visit Chicago. I'm not going to Chicago no other way, especially with family. Yeah, I would have a hard time going to Chicago unprotected, little less unarmed. Yeah, 01 Crom positive bills are never slipped in the dark of the night. Only the things that work against the server slipped in the dark of the night. Did the omnibus spending bill actually go? You're talking about the one for this year, because I don't think the budget for next year is passed yet. Yeah, so that was a good topic there. You can do it. Thanks for getting us down that rabbit hole. But there's a couple of links that'll be in your description box. See how they close this out, this article here. So this is focusing mostly on Florida and their issues with flagging permits. So they're trying to point out the failures in the background check system. Putnam argued that every permit holder, even those later revoked following the investigation, had cleared 2 other fingerprint-based criminal databases and only amounted to a small portion of the more than 300,000 permits issued during the time period. So statistical anomalies, 291 out of 300,000. I mean, literally, like, what computer processing of anything is that efficient, I guess you'd say, or accurate in anything. But of course, in the zero defect mentality security nanny state, 1 is too many, and they will not allow for anomalies. So until they get that number down to 0, which they can never do, they will always come for your guns because they can't guarantee safety and security without it. So the Florida example here they're using, Florida's 1.9 million permits are honored to one degree or another in 36 other states. Underpinning national reciprocity in Congress, this would expand to all states. A concept supported by nearly 300 Republicans, the president, and the attorney generals of 24 states. But again, if you're not going to accept concealed carry permits, you shouldn't accept driver's licenses either, because you all have different standards. We shouldn't allow anybody in California to drive anywhere outside that state. They're a bunch of loons. Just like people from Florida shouldn't be allowed to drive anywhere north of Georgia. That's a good idea, Irish. Buy your 80% lowers and stock up. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm quite there on the 80% lower for a pistol, though, or 80% lower for a shotgun, etc. You got to, I don't have it'd be nice to have that mechanical expertise in some respects to mill your own. 3D printing could take that to the next level, but I don't have one of those either. You out of here? You can do it. Good to go, everyone. Or got to go. What does GTG mean to you? Because that means good to go to me. So we're good to go. Yeah, the money's an issue too, Irish. They use the money as a way to dissuade people from purchasing or pursuing the permit, the carry permit in particular. But even when you go to get buy firearms, the background checks cost money, and in some states they cost more than others. It's an extra fee and stuff. So 80% is a good idea. ZPD, what's up? I'm not paying any money for a permit, right? Unfortunately, we pay for way more permits than we realize a lot of times, like driving and etc. Chirac, yeah, there you go. Florida has knife length laws. Yeah, and it's all because of places like Miami. I mean, the big cities are destroying places, literally. It's not even funny. See if there's anything else interesting brought up in here. Anything more current, I guess I should say. The American Medical Association backs common sense measures to prevent gun injuries, which means nobody should have a weapon is what their common sense measures are, I'm sure. Has nothing to do with actually preventing injuries. The AMA House of Delegates, so this is from this week as well. So the American Medical Association House of Delegates backed gun violence restraining orders, tougher background checks, and better data collection. Better data collection, which doesn't prevent anything. It just gives them a platform to stand on and say, hey, we need to write another law to have a zero defect mentality to prevent things. Is the AMA put a statement out on 5-gallon buckets yet? Let me know. People are dying of gun violence in our homes, churches, schools, street. So they make a bold statement here. Obviously, they're using tugging at the people's heartstrings because every day, suicide, victims of domestic partner violence, men and women simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. It doesn't have to be this way, and we urge lawmakers to act. Again, under the guise of safety and protection, they're going to propose different firearms restrictions. So delegates adopted policy for the AMA to support establishing law on family members, intimate partners, household members, and personnel to petition a court for the removal of firearms. We talked about this months ago. State's ability to do a high risk warrant and stuff like that. Different states have different processes. Some of them step over the line because there's no due process in it. Most of them have the process where you have to go before a court, go before a judge, and issue a warrant. This is where you get on your slippery slope, prohibiting persons who are under domestic violence restraining orders convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence crimes or stalking for possession or purchasing firearms. It's a very slippery slope because there's a big difference between beating your girlfriend and some of the other reasons people get domestic violence restraining orders. Oh goodness. So it's all about pulling people's heartstrings to kind of just encroach on the system. So this is all about domestic violence issues. On down. So the AMA is just trying to incrementalism, find a different wedge issues to get in on. Hey, ZPD, have a good day. You're going to find something to do in the rain, so you are getting rain. Fishing in the rain sounds the best, right? A 3D metal printer is $99,000. Okay, yeah, that's a little steep. It'd be nice to have one. Maybe everybody could just pitch in. Would be good. as the Populous Bilderberg group meeting that we are, we need to pool our funds together to work that out. We can have one. We can have one regionally throughout the country. So we'll need about like 10 of them. Just wear body armor. You'll better appreciate our military if you have to wear that everywhere, right? Yeah, just that would wear on you. Even a simple underneath vest is more that people don't realize how intensive in the way they get. Imagine wearing full body armor with plates and everything. That's when it gets really ups the level. All right. So that's the gun agenda update for the day. You can think you can do it for that rabbit hole, unplanned as it was, for getting us down that route. But we did start off with the Illinois issue and the Chicago Tribune's pretty much completely ignoring murder in their city, but going down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out why concealed carry shootings aren't well documented by the state police with the 40-some cases over a 4-year span when they have that many attempted murders every weekend. Good job, Chicago Tribune, on that. But that is what it is, I guess. All right, here's the weather again on everybody. If they didn't see the snapshot at the beginning, lots of rain in the Rockies, upper Midwest, upper Plain states, all that good stuff. We're going to do a Kickstarter for the 3D printers, Irish, right? We'll just organize it by FEMA region. So every FEMA region gets a 3D printer. We'll just have to put somebody in charge of it within the our Populous Bilderberg group here, and we'll be set. I can see this moving forward. I can see the potential. This would be a good time. Oh man, if that would only be what there are 10 FEMA regions, so we basically need $1 million to get that kicked off. We might just skip and leave some states out. I mean, like Hawaii, you're kind of on your own. Alaska, I don't think you really need it. They got the ability to get their own stuff. Is Alaska constitutional carry? I'm not sure, but as far as manufacturer of firearms, they're probably doing all right. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up and head out. Hope everybody has a good weekend. If you're outside of the green, wet areas, get out and do something enjoyable. Or if you're like ZPD, just go fishing in the rain, whichever works for you. But if you're in places like Arizona, places that need the water, hopefully you get a lot of it and get what you need without drowning or without having too much flooding and whatnot. And like Irish says, safety first. There you go. So y'all have a good weekend. Thanks for coming in and check us out. Live free.